Hey Pollinator pals, Beth here from Como Park Zoo and Conservatory, coming to you from the Pollinator exhibit here, and really excited to share with you all of the buzz that is just buzzing around every one of our flowers here, to talk a little bit about bees, the ways they think, the ways they find their food, how they navigate home, and how they communicate that information to others. It's pretty amazing what these little guys are up to, and I'm so excited to share a little bit of it with you today. So let's get in there and let's explore. As we look around at some of the flowers around us here in the exhibit, you can see they have these bright colors, and many times when we're gardening or we're planting, we pick those flowers for our own entertainment and our own amusement, and to our eyes, they are beautiful. These colors are lovely, the scents are amazing. Here we have bright contrasting colors as well. We've got beautiful purples and yellows. But these flowers didn't get these bright colors just to entertain us. They actually got these colors to communicate with bees. And what a bee sees is pretty amazing. In fact, these colors, it's not even the beginning of what a bee can see. We see the colors of the rainbow: red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, and violet, all mixed together to make the colors we see all the time. For a bee, it's a little different. They see less of those deep spectrum colors like reds, but they do see a lot of color on the other end. On the other end of the color spectrum, violet, there's actually colors of light beyond that we don't see as humans, ultraviolet light. And many insects can see this. Bees, with their compound eyes, they're really good at seeing those colors, and they're also really good at seeing movement. So they can see those bright patterns. For example, if we take a look at our giant flower model of science, this is not something that our horticulturalist team has made, although it would be very cool if they had grown such big flowers. If we take a look, we can see there's all these beautiful spots and colors and patterns. There's the pollen here that they'd be able to get, but this stands out to us. But if we were to look at this in a dark room, so when we use a different light, such as a black light, it allows ultraviolet light to reflect in a visible spectrum for humans, and we can see what a bee sees. This flower absolutely glows. It lights up. The pollen is luminous, attracting bees to visit so that they can transfer the pollen from one flower to another, and you can see bright glowing triangles that act as a runway and a landing pad, drawing bees in to where they can find nectar and help pollinate. In fact, there's some pretty amazing photography that's been done for both flowers as well as invertebrates and all of the amazing ultraviolet light that they have. There's some pretty cool photography to do this, and if you're a photographer, you should take a look to learn how. It's some pretty amazing work to appreciate the world around us that we often don't see. Now, if a bee finds a flower, they don't just go to that flower straight away. They have to wander to find it using their senses, their sense of smell, their sense of vision. But when they're hunting it down, they then, have to backtrack all that wandering way back home to their hive? That seems really inefficient. And bees, they figured out a solution to it. And for my friends who are maybe wondering about going back to school in whatever form it might be, you might be thinking, oh, math class. Bees? They totally got an A in their math class. Bees are really good at calculating the straightest path back to their hive, and they can actually use the sun and its movement to do so. So they can track what direction the sun is compared to where they go. They can figure out what direction the sun was when they left their hive, and then they can figure out the difference, calculating those angles so they can get a straight path back home. Now, this is really awesome, but there's one more step to it. So they brought back their tasty, sugary snack of nectar or their delicious protein snack of pollen back to their flower home. But if they have a hive, they want more bees to come back with them so they can make the most of that flower find. So they have to communicate to other bees. Bees don't write, and they can't write themselves little notes, and they don't have tiny little bee maps so that they can map things out. But they actually do explain things in a map-like fashion. Bees think in a very similar way to the way we think when we use navigation systems. And they don't even have to use Google to get there. Instead, they communicate through all sorts of cool body language. One of my favorites is the bee waggle dance. In the case of honeybees, they'll actually line themselves up in orientations that represent the sun outside of their hive, and they'll move in little wiggles, wiggling their butt, buzzing their wings, walking in circles. The directions they turn tell other bees if they need to continue a long distance or a short distance and where they've arrived. This communicates to other bees which way they're going, which is pretty cool. The bees are able to tell each other where that snack is. By successfully telling other bees in their hive how to get food, bees are then able to better successfully get food for the whole hive, which means success for everybody. So it's really important for them to help each other out. Now, you can see all of these really cool behaviors in your backyard, and I encourage you to take a look and see what those bees are doing. Once they find a flower, do they go around, fill themselves up, and move to a different place? Do they seem to backtrack or go straight in a direction? Take those observations. I encourage you to take notes if you can, or you can check out some other cool resources. On our website, we'll be sharing some cool links to some videos of bee behavior. Bees have been trained to demonstrate all sorts of awesome behavior to help explain how they think and comprehend and remember. There's even been a bee that was taught how to play fetch, which is pretty cool. You can also check out some other cool resources, including play some games of your very own bee waggle dances. It's kind of like playing hide and seek, and you can play it at home with your friends and family, which is pretty great. Another thing you could try is you could try an experiment of your very own. You could try to see what a bee sees in your own backyard with the very, very cool experiment that we'll be posting up on our website. Here, you can color your own little flowers in different colors, and you can post them up in your yard and see who gets the most bee visits. I recommend using some colors that demonstrate those different color visions that bees have. So you could use no color on one, just the shape of a flower. You could use colored pencil on another, and if you actually use highlighter, highlighter actually reflects ultraviolet light, so it fluoresces. So to a bee, it's really brightly colored. See which one attracts the bees most, and maybe you'll see what the flowers in your backyard are doing too. Thanks so much for joining us for this really cool, buzzy episode about pollinators here in the Pollinator exhibit. Thanks to the Legacy Amendment, we were able to bring this to you to share this, and we look forward to sharing future pollinator stories in future episodes. Stay tuned to next week, where we'll talk a little bit about water lilies. Thanks. Have a great day.